reduction in degraded land by 2040. That translated to 1 billion hectares of land to be restored. Now, this was not the first time that the country is committed to land restoration. Under the Bond Challenge, countries had already committed more than 200 million hectares of land to be restored. Under the land degradation neutrality of the UNCCD, 450 million hectares of land was committed to be restored. This was here. Yeah. Yeah, no, the other one you can put there, yeah. This for me to get a very nice backdrop for the social media. You know, I didn't want all the drought being beamed around the world. So I want to also acknowledge that this is being live streamed around the world, and I want to thank those of you who have woken up in the morning or waiting in Australia at late in the evening to listen to this. So 1 billion hectares, 450 million hectares under UNCCD. Under the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, there are another 300 million hectares to be restored. And if you were to take all this commitment individually, then already there is a collective commitment of 1 billion hectares, already by 2020. However, the most recent report from UNCCD, which came out last month in Samarkand, said not only we are achieving 1 billion hectares, we are actually losing 100 million hectares of good land to degraded land by every year. If this were to continue, to achieve the 50% target, we'll have to restore even more land. In the G20 Global Land Initiative, we did a global analysis as to why is that this restoration is not happening. The commitment is there, but the restoration is not happening. Why? And we have many hypotheses. Quantitative, it's not just theory. For example, countries, they have international commitment, but not national legislations. Big issue, because then they are not enforceable. A citizen cannot go to court and say, land has to be restored. If 1 billion hectares has to be restored, restoration has to go from a small artisanal activity of 1 hectare, 2 hectare, 10 hectare to million hectares being restored, 10 million hectares to be restored, restoration at scale. We need millions of new restoration experts, not 10, not 100. And we need private capital. So when we have all this, the billion will happen. So we are here today to talk about that journey that many of the countries are already taking and many of them are planning to take. And I would then, with this word, I will hand over to Angela, who will now take through the session. And we look forward to a wonderful session. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Good morning. It's actually good afternoon. So my name is Angela Chirikalhauge, and we have a very interesting session coming up now. I think, first of all, I just want to reiterate one thing that the previous speaker has mentioned. Restoring lands is absolutely important in the context of climate change, climate action. We know right now that if we do this sustainably, if we sustainably restore and manage the world's ecosystems, our lands, this is the most powerful tool we have at our disposal. And we know that from some of the recent studies, if you just think of forests, if we restore the global forests, at almost 61, with 226 gigatons of carbon and 61% of the global storage would actually be back online. So this is a critical thing that we need to be focusing on. So today's discussion that's very, very timely. It'll focus on the importance of scaling up land restoration. And our esteemed speakers that we have today are bringing to us success stories and good practices, as well as any challenges for land restoration financial and sustainability, community involvement, policy alignment, all the things that we need to be looking at as we seek to act with urgency on climate change and on sustainable development. So without further ado, I'd like to invite the first panelists to come and join me up here. We have with us Mr. Songkhirel Sukbatar, who is the State Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, of Tourism of Mongolia. We will also have with us His Excellency Frank Tumwebaze, who is the Minister of Agriculture and Animal Industry and Fisheries of Uganda. We'll have Mr. Song Seong Lim, the Deputy Minister of the Korea Forest Service in the Republic of Korea. And then we will also have with us Mr. Anil Jasinga, Cabinet Secretary of the Ministry of Environment of Sri Lanka, and Genevieve Chinyere of the Great Wall Ambassador of Senegal. So we will start immediately now with the State Secretary of Mongolia. Sir, you have the floor.